It's a gloomy day, Dub Nation. I don't just mean metaphorically. It's actually like overcast. It's really
Yeah,
gloomy today. It's for St.
I,
Patrick's Day.
I was
Um,
like weatherman's side here. Oh goodness. But
but here's the
yes,
deal. I'm
in
not.
all ways
Yes.
gloomy.
Yeah, but I don't know about you. I'm not as pessimistic about the Steph thing. I'm actually more worried about Moody. We're going to talk about all this. It was a
Okay.
big day, man. It was, and we're going to break it
Whew.
down. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. He's Dieter Kurtenbach. You can follow him on Twitter at Dieter. You could follow me, Cyrus Saatsaz, on Twitter at DogSurfRoadshow. Dieter, I'm going to start things off here. And look, this could turn into a debate. Maybe we agree. I don't know. To me, there are different variances of and different levels when you apply the word dirty to a player or to a certain play.
Mm-hmm.
It could be very dirty if there is intention behind it, right?
Of course.
But it also could be dirty if that's just your style of play where you're reckless and your actions can result in an injury like what happened to Steph. I would
Mm-hmm.
not apply that word if Marcus Smart in the exact same play didn't also karate kick Klay Thompson to the chest. And then at
Mm-hmm.
the end of it, didn't also lie there acting like he's the victim, borderline crying, thinking he got fouled and got injured. That was too
Yeah,
much for me. And for
I
someone
get
who
that.
is a Warriors fan, self-proclaimed, I just to show you, hopefully that could be a little objective here. In 2017, in the Western Conference Finals, Zaza Pachulia, back when the Warriors believed in having true centers on their roster, uh, put his legs underneath Kawhi Leonard in Game One, changed
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi's life forever with that one
Yes.
play potentially. He's
Yeah.
never been the same since. I
No.
thought that was dirty. It was legal at the time. They changed the rules largely because of that, but that was dirty on Zaza's part. He didn't have
Mhm.
to do that. So I think Marcus Smart's play was dirty. What do you think, man? Let's start with that.
I really don't dive much into the basketball morality space because it's such a I just don't. As somebody who has an opinion on everything and has no problem editorializing on most things, I do try to stick with my gut on situations like that. I think that there are certain situations where it's just a clear and present danger. It's clearly egregious in the moment. Um, Kind of the Potter Stewart Supreme Court line, like I know it when I see it.
Yes.
I watching that play, I think we're litigating the result. Now, everything that you said is totally justifiable. Marcus Smart walks that line. That is his entire style of play. And honestly, he's getting more of a pass than any other player would because he so consistently walks that line. Like the
Yeah.
Warriors players after the game saying, like, I don't think it's dirty because it's Marcus Smart. Well, that's not really an answer. That's just saying that they don't want to actually contend with this notion because they would have to contend with a whole lot with this guy who's just consistently in situations like this. So I don't think that he had malicious intent. I,
Agreed.
I, I think that we can say that. I don't think he ever has malicious intent, but I like the word that you used a moment ago, reckless. He does play
Yeah.
basketball, and I don't know. It's one of these things where he plays basketball just at a reckless pace with a reckless abandon, and that abandon burns Steph Curry. It has, it's a lot different than when he punched Matt Bonner in the crotch. It's a lot different than, but like
Yes.
2 weeks ago, what did he do? He was up and under, Trey Young did the Zaza Pachulia play, and Trey Young rolls his ankle.
Oh,
Basketball morality is very easy to say that Marcus Smart's a dirty player. It's very easy to say that he is a foul of sort of the concepts and regulations that implicitly govern the game of basketball because of the other thing you said, which is he's an egregious flopper, the worst in the
yes.
NBA. He has no
Yes.
shame whatsoever. And so it's really, I thought it was really interesting. Understandably, Draymond gave him the benefit of the doubt. I can understand why Juan Toscano Anderson gave him the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
And Steve Kerr even said that they were good, but Steve Kerr did not give him the benefit of the doubt in that moment. And I think that that's a very fair thing to do. Whether it's dirty or not, that is the inherent question. Like, that is what we're litigating here. I hope we're not litigating it because of the result. It didn't feel dirty in the moment, but then you look at the guy's history, you look at how reckless he is, you look at
Yes.
how afoul he has been of sort of the ethics and morality of basketball. He doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt. And he's not going to get suspended. He's not going to get suspended, but it's just another blemish on this guy's record. And it's a damn shame, because legitimately, if he didn't have all this crap, and perhaps he wouldn't be getting any praise from me right now if he didn't have all this crap, like, this is the two-sided coin of it all. But he's such a brilliant defender. He's a wonderful basketball player. His shot is ass ugly, but I can't get enough of that guy. And I can't get enough of the Boston Celtics. I was telling anybody, these Boston Celtics are the real deal Holyfield. It speaks to how crappy their offense was last night, perhaps the Warriors' defense, but they were able to hold Golden State to 32 points in the first half. I mean, Steph played the majority of it. He only missed the final 4 minutes of the second quarter. That was a true playoff test. The Warriors failed it miserably. The Celtics, I thought, did a wonderful job, and it's honestly a shame that a contest like that, which I think we would have enough talking points out of already, turned into something larger because Marcus Smart doesn't really know how to tone it down 5%. And I won't hold it against any Warriors fan who wants to hold Marcus Smart in contempt for the rest of their life, because he just, again, full stop. If you're saying, is it a dirty play? I'm not going to make the judgment, because it didn't feel like that in the moment, and I don't want to overreact to something that I didn't react to when I saw it live. But he doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt. Go ahead, call him out for it. And
I'm totally with you, man.
The credibility, he's a brilliant player.
The credibility factor is important. And I want to share this tweet you did last night. I first want to commend you, because you took a very unique angle in covering this game last night. You were at Chase Center, and instead of following all the Warriors and getting attributions from them, you went after the Celtics. And I respect that, man. You went for the unique angle there. And I'm very surprised and a little disappointed. I understand a coach, supporting their players, sticking up for them. But look, a man got hurt here. And all the coach is coming out saying is, and this is the attribution for those listening for the podcast, quote from Celtics head coach Iguodala, and apologies if I mispronounced that, the play they were complaining about, what is it?
Udoka, yeah.
Udoka, thank you.
I spent about 40 minutes on it last night.
So here's the attribution
you and I get it.
From Udoka, quote, the play they were complaining about was totally legal and not malicious at all. One guy dove for it. One guy reached for it. There wasn't anything to complain about. If you can make teams start complaining, you're in a good spot. Bro, a man is hurt from this play, and all you're talking about is praise and how great Marcus Smart. I was appalled by that. That was very shocking to me. And again, Steve Kerr and I think Dre were being diplomatic, and like Steve Kerr used the word dangerous instead of dirty. Yeah, I think they do. Yeah, exactly. But again, so here's the great news, and this is what the reports are coming out right now. And in a moment, we got to talk about Moses Moody. I think that's being completely underplayed in all this, because he's out right now too, in this whole thing. But the great news potentially, and Shams came out this morning with a report, then Wash came out, and that made me feel a lot better when he reported as well with Ramona Shelburne that Steph is likely to come back in early April in time for the playoffs. Nothing conclusive right now. You just can't really know for sure this early in the game. His foot's probably swollen. I mean, who knows what's going on there right now. So, yeah. Oh, man. Have you tried Athletic Greens yet, by the way? Did they send you a box of those?
I have.
What were your thoughts on that? Have you tried it?
It is powerful stuff, man. Let me put it that way. It is like, whoa, hey now, you're sitting up straight all of a sudden.
Hey now.
We're not gonna talk about what, your body regulates itself better. Let's put it that way. I feel like I was extremely malnourished for an extended period of time, and now that I'm on Athletic Greens, it's like, oh, the columns are a lot better.
Yeah, I'm gonna. They convinced me to buy more. I always trust my mom and my sister when it comes to health, and I actually gave them some of the sample packets that came with their package. And they don't like putting things in their body unless they're very confident it is healthy for you, it's safe for you. And the AG1, which is what Athletic Greens primarily sells among many different options, is fantastic. It's got tremendous health benefits. It improves your cognitive abilities. It helps your brain, helps your digestive system. It helps your immune system. Yeah, folks,
The way that I want to put it is like, you should be taking a multivitamin every day, and you
yes.
take it and you go like, what am I getting out of this? Like, is anything actually happening? This feels like a Ponzi scheme. It feels like a scam. And listen, man, I was looking at the back. I'm not exactly health conscious. I mean, here's my Coke Zero, but it's. I looked at the back of the athletic greens, and I know enough to know what I'm doing wrong, and consistently doing wrong.
Yes.
And I'm reading it, and I'm going, yeah, I'm definitely not getting enough of that. I'm definitely not like, oh, thank goodness, I got some magnesium. I used to take a bunch of zinc supplements before the pandemic because I was so afraid of getting sick from everybody. And then at that point, it's just like, well, too late.
Too late. Yep.
There's some really good stuff in there, and I don't think it's the placebo effect that I felt good on the days that I took it in the morning for breakfast on an empty stomach, a little bit of lemon juice, knock that thing down. Rest of the day, good energy, feeling positive, but just saying something for me, like, kind of moving around a little bit. Your feet don't hurt in the morning. You don't got the full Steph Curry going on. It was good. And then when I didn't do it, just because you're busy and stuff doesn't happen, kind of felt sluggish. So, congrats, AG. You got it from me.
Bam. And that is a beautiful sell right there. And again, and the best part is you don't feel nauseous. You just drink it on an empty stomach, just one glass of water, you mix it in, and that's it. And for the rest of the day, you're feeling great. And it's really not that expensive either. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Fantastic. All you have to do is visit
Athletic Greens. Vitamin K in it too. We never get vitamin K. Vitamin K is important.
Very smart. Great call on that, because you're right. There's all these weird vitamins. That's what my mom and sister kept saying. They're like, oh, like you don't find these vitamins in much thing. And it's very easy to find. Just go to athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NBA network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast. Nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts is free and available wherever you get podcasts. You are much more of an insider, my friend, than me. You go to the games regularly. You got the press credential on where you don't have to ask for it each time like I do.
No, they're begging you not to come.
So with that said, man, you were at Chase Center last night. The curiosity is killing me in terms of Moses Moody. Have you heard anything, and are you worried?
I'm
because I don't even know what play. Do you even know what play it happened on? Like, okay.
He was going for a loose ball. He jammed his shoulder. So the question now is, how bad of a jam is that shoulder? Is it in fact a dislocation where it got pushed in and pulled out? Listen, you can find things out. Sorry for these dramatic pauses. You can find things out based on tone. Okay, so there's the information that is around, and you can get it. And
I follow, man.
Typically, in situations like last night, that information is very tightly kept under wraps.
So you're referring to the flight attendant theory, right? Where if you're worried on a flight, just look at the flight attendant. If they're calm, stay calm. So we're going with this.
That's an outstanding. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Last night, nobody was puking in the hallways of Chase Center. I have been at Chase Center when people were puking in the hallways, but they weren't thinking about Moses Moody. You know, right? When Steph broke his hand, when Aaron Baines fell on him and broke his hand, guys were puking in the hallways. Not literally, but you could just – there was a pall. Everybody was just like, it's over. My God, what will we do now? It was like the stock market had crashed and you had all of your money in the Dow. And last night, everyone was just like, this sucks, but meh. So clearly the initial feedback on Steph, and we found it out this morning, was positive. I asked a couple people about Moses Moody, and they're like, "What?" Which I guess is a good sign.
Okay,
Yeah, I
there's
guess
a good
it's
sign.
a good sign, but it's a sign of how Steph dominates everything, and that the Moses Moody injury was just so back of mind once Steph went out that I'm glad that it's front of mind for you because it's important. Because with Steph out, if Moses Moody is also out, that means Damian Lee minutes, which means losses. I mean, I hate to extrapolate that far because he has been good once or twice, but last night it was pain in all ways. And luckily they won't be playing the Boston Celtics every night. But like, if Damian Lee is playing 20 plus minutes a night, you are in full on panic mode. Those are dire times indeed. And Moses Moody was taking those minutes, and Moses Moody was, and this is not grading on the curve of a 19-year-old, and everyone agrees with this. Like, this is not a hot take. Moses Moody was performing admirably. Like, he was doing really well. So,
agreed.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll send out a couple texts after this because honestly, I forgot.
No, and just honestly, just the fact that even you aren't raising the alarms. I saw no one raising alarms.
No one said anything. Yeah, no one said anything. And that can be a good or a bad thing.
Yeah, and someone tweeted out that in the post-game radio broadcast with Tim Roy and Tolbert that they saw Moody and he was being affable, he was being lighthearted, joking around. That's a great sign. Yeah, that calmed my nerves a little bit.
That someone physically saw him. If a guy's really injured, you don't see him.
That's fair. Yeah, that is a fair assessment. Another piece of great news, and this might actually help in turn. By the way, here's one trend I've noticed every time. What's up?
You're really spinning it. Steph Curry might be out for the rest of the regular season. This team is 2.5, 3.5 games up on the 5th seed.
No,
the guy who would need to replace them, they move Poole to the 1. The guy who would theoretically need to be playing at the 2, who's 19 years old, so in and of itself, that guy's also injured. We saw an offense that, like, Klay can't beat anybody off the dribble. Not that he could have, but last night he got exposed.
We got to talk about that in a second. We got to talk about that in a moment. But here's what I wanted to say first. I feel like every time you criticize Damian Lee, rightfully so, he always comes back with a great game. I don't know if you've noticed that or not.
It's 100% right. It's why I don't know what's going on. It's why I try to keep it out of the columns and keep it on the tweets, and this is the halfway in between. It's a little more formal and a little less casual. He'll definitely go off for 35 against San Antonio, and then we'll all just be like, "This is why you keep Damian Lee around." And it's like, yeah, but now what's going to happen? Now the next 7 games are going to be ass, and I can't live like this anymore. Cyrus, I can tell you, like, this stadium is cursed. They can't have nice things. We've talked about the curse of Chase before, but like, the stadium's cursed.
Is this a Levi Stadium level curse, or we're talking a whole different beast? Because Levi's is just totally cursed. I have no doubt in my mind about that place. But
they went to they won a NFC there. I mean, it wasn't that
not a Super Bowl.
That bad.
Not a Super Bowl. Standards are high for the Niner fan base. Standards are high, my friend.
I say that all the time. I love not to delve too far into Jimmy Garoppolo, but it's like, when did the standards of the San Francisco 49ers get so low that this guy's acceptable? Regardless, once they fixed the turf at Levi's, things started to go a little bit better. If everyone remembers, the turf at Levi was there. I think that if Joe Lacob was really smart, instead of talking to Kanye West all night last night, he would tear up the court, burn it all in the middle, have an exorcism for the court itself, and go from there. But like, you got to get rid of that court, because what have we seen? We've seen Klay got injured in 2019. It's been so long. But Draymond got injured in pregame warmups at Chase. Steph gets injured on a freak/dirty play, depending on your standard, at Chase. He's been injured now twice at Chase. I mean, Andre Iguodala, I'm not even sure he's a person anymore, but he got injured at Chase. This is the natural byproduct of playing with a veteran team, dudes who have been through the wars, played multiple extra seasons on top of the real season, all that kind of stuff. But no bueno. No bueno, Cyrus. No bueno.
No bueno. No, you're 100% right. The piece of great news is Gary Payton II is reportedly set to come back from Sunday's
Oh,
game,
thank God.
which hopefully will dip into Damian Lee's minute. I have nothing against Damian Lee personally. I don't think you do either.
Great
This
guy.
is all just basketball talk. But
Yeah.
I don't mind him as your 15th guy. I don't want to see him in the playoffs.
Yes.
Garbage time minutes,
Yes.
morale guy on the
But
bench.
that's what I was
Great.
saying, right? Once Gary's back, that changes that paradigm a little bit. But like when you're
Yes.
playing your 15th guy, great 15th guy, can knock down threes. I think it's pretty good on
Yeah.
defense. Like incredible. If that's your 15th dude, you're a championship team. He's your starting shooting guard in some situations here. Not a championship team. And that's yeah.
We need to talk about two of the veterans on this team, though, Klay Thompson and Andre Iguodala. After we mention a longtime sponsor of this program, BetOnline. It is that time of year again. March Madness is here. College basketball's great tournament is finally upon us. And from all the latest odds, contests, and player props, betonline.net is the #1 source for all your sports betting needs and information. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information needs, including live betting. That's where Dieter and I usually get these Warriors lines. It'll play again until Sunday, so we're not worrying about that today. And your favorite Vegas casino games. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. Andre Iguodala, I literally had forgotten for a moment he's even on this team. Is he going to play? Like, what? I mean, we use the Warriors. I hate using we with the team. I apologize for that. The Warriors use a roster spot for Andre Iguodala. He hasn't played in half a season. He seems okay. What is your thoughts on this? Like, is he going to? Are we going to ever see him?
All I can think about is how many indefinite things exist with this Golden State Warriors team. Like, Klay was out indefinitely until he was back. Draymond's injury was indefinite at diagnosis, then indefinite in return. James Wiseman's entire career has been indefinite. Jordan Poole, is he going to be good tonight?
Indefinite.
Indefinite. And then Andre Iguodala, I'm not even sure he's definitely a thing or definitely a person at this juncture. This might be a con. He's pulling a full Memphis right now. Listen, it's a back injury. He's a guy who's put in a ton of miles. This organization in general, hyper cautious. Now would be a good time to come back, though, if he is healthy. Now would be a good time to maybe pare back that consciousness a little bit, or cautiousness a little bit. And consciousness, we need to just lighten up a bit, I suppose. But I mean, at least Andrew Wiggins has the decency to be consistent in being indefinite. Everybody else is just
indefinite. And I'm glad you brought up Wiggins, by the way, because you made a great point last show about his absence being important. And I think the Warriors felt that against this Celtics team that was really big. They could have used him, and they could have used size. Time Lord is a legit center. I feel like he was. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But he's big. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I looked that up. I was staring at that number for like 20 minutes last night. I'm like, oh, you could have convinced me he was 7'2".
Yeah.
He's an impressive player.
He's stout. He's strong. He has long arms. That wingspan is certainly big. Yeah. So we have 12 games remaining. Wiggins will probably come back Sunday against the Spurs from that illness. But Klay Thompson, man, it was a disappointment. You're right. He probably started forcing up shots, but 1 for 11 from 3. He clearly just decided to ignore Kerr's mantra of only shoot it when you feel good. He was just forcing those things.
There were so many open looks early, right? Like that game had a chance of being interesting because Boston was getting broken down a smidge, right? Everything was a fight to the final second of the shot clock, but the Warriors' ball movement with Draymond as the pivot was so good. They were blitzing Draymond. They were double teaming Steph in very interesting and sort of passive ways, just like there's another body in proximity. Really good coaching, just really interesting stuff. But when they made 6 or 7 passes and Jordan Poole gets a little dribble penetration, there's Klay open for 3, and he didn't knock him down early. You chalk it up and you say, hey, okay, that's fine. And then Boston took it to a whole other level defensively. And now those 6, 7 passes aren't happening. Now it's 3 or 4 passes. There's no dribbling. The only guy who can dribble and get anywhere is Poole. He had a good game.
He did. Great game.
And that's the only savior right now.
Yeah, you're right.
And it was necessary. Now Boston, I think, took their foot off the accelerator pretty significantly. First game of a 4-game road trip. We're absolutely kicking this team's ass. Maybe we could take the rest of the game easy. And they were right. But Klay has never been able to take dudes off the dribble, maybe as much as he thinks he can. He's just not a dribbler. He's not somebody who you put the ball on the floor. That whole point guard Klay thing at the beginning of his return, his season, it was a funny quirk. It was a funny thing, but that's not a viable manner of winning basketball games. And he got stoned last night in the defensive sense. He just couldn't move. He couldn't move. And I think that his legs look okay. But this is where we're finding out what that percentage, that proverbial percentage we've always been talking about is.
Yes.
Where is Klay right now? He said he was at 80 not that long ago. I mean, I'm going to take his word for it on that one. I think that the more concerning part is I don't know if there's more to come. He says that he's, get back to that 100% Klay Thompson 2019 NBA Finals. I don't see the burst. I haven't seen it yet. He's got the swag. He's got the confidence. He has the smarts to find the right spots. He's a catch and shoot god. We said so often in the build up to him coming back, if he's just Joe Harris, he's kind of looking like Joe Harris right now. But Joe Harris is not a dude who you want dribbling the ball at the top of the key with 6 seconds left on the shot clock. And as much as I bemoan the Andrew Wiggins 18 dribbles and 18 footers, you're right. He was necessary. He was necessary in a situation like that. Marcus Thompson pointed out on Twitter, you have to know how to play isolation basketball. Last night was playoff caliber defense. Heavy on the perimeter, funneling to a big man down in the post. This is classic 101 playoff defense with playoff intensity from the Boston Celtics. They went out with a point to prove. They were out for blood from the jump, and it's sad that the overall arc of that story is, again, that they got some in not the way that they wanted, I'm sure. But the Warriors aren't ready for that. The Warriors were not even close to ready for that. They're not equipped, or certainly last night they were not equipped to handle it. And I look at a Western Conference standings that have 3 of the top 5 defensive teams in the league since the calendar flipped in Dallas, Phoenix, and Memphis, and particularly Memphis and Dallas. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit, because I know both of those teams, Memphis more so than any, can slow the Warriors down, as we saw Boston do last night, funnel stuff into the paint, as we saw Boston do last night, defend like crazy on the perimeter, as we saw Boston do last night, and just get this game into a rock fight. And the Warriors are only equipped to run races. And they had 3 fast break points in the first half, and that's why they had 32 points. It's a big issue. It's a big issue. And Andrew Wiggins, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, is perhaps their only hope.
Well, again, if he's not your number 1 guy or your number 2 guy, he's fine. It's when you suddenly start relying on him, it's when you get in trouble. I wanted to throw Klays Stats out here. His best season was 2016-17, when he averaged 22.3 points per game. And what stood out that season, and in a lot of seasons, is his 3-point percentage. He was 41.4 that year. The following year, he actually averaged 44% from 3, which is insane.
It was
insane. This year, he's averaging slightly less than 5 points per game, below his career high in a season. But he's also playing 7 minutes less. And really, the only difference offensively is a 3-point percentage. He's only shooting 35.5% from 3 this year. And defensively, you could still see he's a step slow. He's not quite there yet. But you made a great point. He can't carry the team. He's a fantastic compliment to Steph and Draymond especially. And it's just such a shame that the big 3 play a whopping total of 1 game together, and then it's just now
11
steps out
minutes
again.
total. 11.
It's insane. So, but here's where my
3
optimism
years.
is. In 3 years, in 1,005 days, whatever that number was.
Yeah.
My optimism comes from the fact that we're still hopeful that Steph's going to come back for the playoffs. Draymond is still not, and he isn't anywhere near his 100% level, his full self.
You better find it fast.
You better find it fast. Yeah, but they have 12 games. I mean, it's safe to say at this point now that seeding, you and I were both frustrated that the team wasn't striving for seeding and taking the regular season more seriously. Now it's a wash. Now I feel like the regular season's done.
They're in good shape in the sense that I think Minnesota is 5.5, 6.5 back. I should have that readily available. I apologize, but
I do. I have it here.
I mean, it would take something truly special in the worst possible way for the Warriors to not be in the true tournament, so to not be a top 6 seed. But I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Warriors were the 5th seed when this is all said and
done. They're currently right now 5 games ahead of the Nuggets for the 6th seed, and then 6.5 ahead of Minnesota. I think that's safe.
Right.
I'm not I'm sorry. Top 6, I think they're safe. It would take a
top 6 is safe.
Tremendous.
But they
collapse.
might go all the way down. It would take something really special. In which case, we'd be having very different conversations, because it'd be the inverse of last season, where it just all falls apart at the absolute end, as opposed to last season where nothing worked and then it kind of all got together when they went to a 7-8 man rotation at the end of the campaign. But they're okay on that. It's a good thing that Draymond and the Warriors have been telling everybody that they don't care about home court advantage and seeding, because they ain't getting any of it. Not an ounce of it. They're going to be on the road in round number 1. I feel very confident that either Utah or Dallas is overtaking them, if not both, in the standings here over the next. Here's the thing. They have a 5-7 coming up. They were already going to punt 2 games in that one. I think they were going to punt Washington. We talked about it. I think that they were going to punt games. Thank God they have Orlando. I mean, it's like San Antonio and Orlando. Thank goodness. I mean, NBA schedule makers screwed them at the end here, but that's a nice salad from the NBA basketball gods. For if Steph had to get injured, do it before a 3-day break, San Antonio, and then on the road at Orlando. You can at least get a little bit of positive momentum going. But Miami's going to lay the wood to them. Memphis is going to lay the wood to them. Sorry, I like Jordan Poole. We know what Jordan Poole is. If this guy was on, Houston right now, I think he'd be getting buckets like this. I think he's a really good player, but there's a reason that, young guys who are 22 years old and that mercurial and that streaky, when they're put in situations where it's like, we ride or die with you, that's because they're recent draft picks and you're a crappy team. Like, that's just how it works. He's the sixth man on a really good team. He's the 7th, 8th man on a championship team. And he's the dude on offense on a crappy team. And that will change as time goes on. That's just a byproduct of where he's at in his career right now. And, the way the NBA works. I would love to see him keep this, really good play going as of late. As you've noted, he's been really smart as of late. He's a very smart player. I don't think that we can argue that at all. I can argue about how he treats the media, but like on the court, nothing but praise for Jordan Poole. And when I say, he's been mercurial, like, he's 22 years old. What the hell do you expect? Yep. Like, he wasn't, the number 1 overall pick in the draft. You have to give him some deference. You have to give him some room to figure stuff out, but there's no room to figure stuff out for him anymore. And that's unfair to him. Because he's a competitor, because he likes this opportunity, because he's probably miscast, frankly, by being on a team with championship aspirations at this juncture in his career. Though again, smart, capable, handling it well. He's going to try to make the most of it. I want to see how that goes. It's going to be really interesting, but I fully expect to be on a plane for the first game of the playoffs. Let me put it that way.
Sounds fair. And again, my optimism comes from the fact that I have faith in this coaching staff. It could be a lot worse. And I love these rookies. All this is going to do is put the spotlight on them, and it is pressure, but good pressure. I think these are players that can handle it. And sometimes adversity brings out the best in people, and let's hope that's what happens with the Warriors here. But I'm really, to me, if Moody's okay and that shoulder thing's not serious, and it sounds that way given the lack of concern from pretty much everyone involved, I think they're going to be all right. And I'm actually going to be
Cyrus.
watching these games with curiosity, man. That Nuggets game is a clear example of that from a week and a half ago. Yes, sir.
We are going to get a lot of James Wiseman now.
Yes. Woo! I'm stoked on that, man. See, these are that's a positive to me. I want to see James out there. So
you're a sick
for
puppy,
better or
man.
worse.
You're a
I want to
sick
see him
puppy.
out there.
You're out here not forgetting what we had dealt with for 18 months, if not longer, because the calendar's all messed up in our minds. You're forgetting what happened when Aaron Baines fell on that hand, man. I mean, no
I'm
Steph
not forgetting
equals
that.
dark times.
Oh,
I know.
The weird thing about that is actually, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
It's almost as if you enjoyed the experimentation of that season.
Well, no, here's the joy of that. Okay, here's the weird thing, and this could be a little twisted. When Aaron Baines, first of all, I don't consider that to be a dirty play, for example, right? That was just accidental.
Just a big man who fell.
Yes, and my feeling that season was I didn't want Steph. We knew Klay was out, and I wanted Steph and Dre to take a year off. So when that happened, and the fact that it was an injury that I was confident in Steph being able to recover fully from, it wasn't like one of these things that could linger for the rest of your career. I was actually kind of relieved. I wanted them to take that year off. There was no chance of the Warriors doing anything that year. They had D'Angelo Russell as a backcourt partner. They had the hard cap to deal with, so they couldn't even sign veterans. Like, it was just that year was just a wash.
To be fair, they did find Juan Toscano Anderson that year, so that turned out to be okay.
And Damian Lee, right? I think that was the same year, right? I think.
They're back. The times are
They're back, baby. They're back. So tomorrow I'm gonna have your old buddy from KNBR, Larry Kruger, on the show, and then you and I will be back next week. And CJ Holmes will reschedule you. Look, man, this Steph news threw a lot of things upside down for the media. We get it.
I got my shit done, but whatever.
Nice job, dude.
I wrote a column. I did this. I'm gonna go do radio right after this. It's almost as if
I hear you. You're a seasoned vet, though, in CJ's defense. You're a seasoned vet, man.
Yeah, he's CJ getting thrown right into the fire. Legitimately, CJ, if you're listening, you don't have to say yes to everyone who asks. You don't have to. You got to learn to say no, my man. We love you. We appreciate you. We really do. He's the nicest guy in the world. But,
He is.
Oh man, he is. He's not bitten off more than he can chew. Well, he has. He can handle the stuff that's actually his job and his responsibility. It's the other stuff that is that's throwing him for a loop. But we are so appreciative that he thinks he can pull off 14 radio hits, 5 podcasts, and his day job, which is not in any way easy, all in one day. God bless him. That is more endurance than I got.
And we'll get CJ back on soon for sure. And thanks for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. Again, Larry Kruger joins me tomorrow, and Dieter, you and I will be doing this next week. Now make your second listen Locked On NBA. Locked On experts covering the biggest stories around the NBA every Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. Thanks, Dieter. Talk to you soon, my man.